The meeting of the Select Board, Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. The time is 7:35. There's a quorum present. We have Mr. Gito, Mr. McCrisky, Mr. Carrera, Vice Chair Roberts, and myself. If you are able to, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance by rising. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I did not. I normally do. I apologize, but let's just make sure that people are able to hear us okay. I'm guessing you're having difficulty hearing. So we're having difficulty hearing outside. I also want to check to see if people are able to hear us online.
I can hear you fine.
Thank you so much, Dolores. I appreciate that. Is it better in the hall? Yeah, I just had to turn it up. No problem. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to move through this as quickly as we can. We've got a lot to do today. But let's see how we can do. So the very first item on the agenda is to consider discontinuance of AccuVote tabulator from LHS and implementation of DS200 tabulator from ES&S.
Mr. Chairman, point of information.
Yes, sir.
Just to make everybody aware, second meeting, we will do this every meeting. The executive summary that's before you on all of these issues may answer some questions you have. And so I just want to make sure everybody has a copy of that and has seen it. Thank you, sir.
And thank you for compiling this. Last meeting, I think it was the first time we had him. It was extremely helpful, so I really appreciate you doing that. Madam Clerk, it's great seeing you. I know that we've done this a couple of times, but for anybody who's not in the know about what we're doing, do you mind just giving a brief summary of what you're looking for tonight?
So we're basically discontinuing our old voting machines. Town meeting voted in '23 to purchase new machines, and the state requires that we take a vote to discontinue our old machines and take ownership of the new machines. We don't have any state elections till September of 2026, and our next town election is April of 2026, so the timing's perfect to take possession of those machines now.
Perfect. And do you need two separate votes or one vote?
Just one vote from the board.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Mr. Gito.
Hi. When do we expect to get the new machines in, and when will your people be trained and be ready to deal with voting?
So some of the machines will be here in a couple of weeks, and then we have a warrant article for an additional 5 machines that we will probably get in the fall. I have spoken to the vendor, and they thought that the training would be best served by our wardens and our clerks closer to the town election. So I plan to do that probably the beginning of the year. And I apologize, that's my phone. Sorry about that.
Yes. Nice jingle, by the way. But thank you very much.
Madam Vice Chair?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, through you to Reggie. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
What are the new features in the new systems, or how did you compare it? What will the new ones do that the old ones didn't do? Like stop the jams of the ballots going in, or just tell me?
Our old machines, I actually didn't procure these machines. I think they were procured by my predecessor, but I understand that the AccuVotes that we had are becoming obsolete. They are breaking down a little bit more often. There are not many clerks in the state who still have those. So we have taken over the new, more digital, advanced machines that tabulate quicker, are less jams, just a little bit more efficient than the old machines.
Thank you very much. This information is very helpful.
Yeah, as I recall, I think that the machines are obsolete, and finding replacement parts is getting harder and harder. So it's time to move on before we just run out of spare parts. So does anybody else have any questions? Okay, so we can move on to a vote. Is there a motion?
Second?
Okay, there's a motion to approve as submitted. In other words, to approve the discontinuance of the AccuVote tabulators and to approve the implementation of the new DS 200 tabulators. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No abstentions? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Next up, we have to consider and approve the issuance and details of loans from the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust, and votes are required tonight. Ms. Newt, it's great to see you.
Always great to see all of you. So before you, you have documents that need to be signed by the board. They are the vote of the Select Board, the interim loan note, and the interim loan note certificate. The loan is for $4,440,000, and it's for the Pratt's Court Water Project improvements, which were voted on and approved at the May 15, 2024 annual town meeting. The loan will be funded by Massachusetts Clean Water. It is an interim loan, and that will close on February 6th of 2027. Once the interim loan closes, the town will be obligated to pay Mass Clean Water the amount that was dispersed to the town. The loan will be interest-free for 25 years, which is awesome. The vote of the Select Board does not need to be read out loud, but a member of the board must make a motion as written on the summary provided to you. And I'm happy to answer any questions, I hope.
Okay, my hearing's not that great, so I apologize, but the motion that's provided in our package, we have to read that in its entirety, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Which is much shorter than the actual vote of the board.
So unless, we can move on to questions, but I'm going to quickly read this so that later on, when someone makes the motion, they can just say, as it was read by Chair Cavey. So the motion that you're asking us to vote on is, I, the clerk of the Select Board of the Town of Stoughton, Massachusetts, certify that at a meeting of the board held on August 19th, 2025, of which meeting all members of the board were duly notified and at which a quorum was present, the following vote was passed, all of which appear upon the official record of the board in my custody. Voted. Number one, the town shall issue a bond or bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $4,440,000. And those are referred to as the bonds pursuant to Chapter 29C and 44 of the general laws, and a vote of the town passed May 15th, 2024, Article 26, for planning of construction, for planning or construction of drinking water infrastructure to be known as the project.
Excuse me, Steve. I don't mean to interrupt.
That's okay.
There was a summary that I sent out to the board, and it's very short.
Okay, I'd prefer to read that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. I appreciate
No,
it.
that's quite all right.
There you go, got
I
it.
just
got
didn't
it
want
ready.
you to continue, and I didn't want to interrupt either.
No, I sincerely appreciate it. So this is the document. So the documents before you.
No, actually, at the very bottom.
Very bottom.
Or,
There we go. I see the
yeah.
quotes.
I move.
This is even shorter.
Yeah, there you go.
I move to approve and adopt the vote of the board as prepared by bond counsel to the town and presented to this meeting, which votes, among other things, approve the issuance of notes and bonds to the Massachusetts Clear Water Trust under the vote of the town adopted on May 15th, 2024, Article 26. Approve the terms of the related financing agreement and project regulatory agreement. Authorizes the treasurer to determine the terms of such bonds and notes and ratifies approves and confirms all actions taken to date to carry out the related project and its financing. The formal term of the vote prepared by bond counsel to the town and approved by this motion shall be incorporated in the minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Okay. So if there's no further questions, no comments, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes unanimously. Madam
you.
Treasurer, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
Mr. Chairman, just another point of order. You'll note from the first two presenters, and you'll see from the next presenters, we're asking the department heads to provide us with a summary, trying to anticipate every question that could possibly happen, including the motion. So I'm hoping that is helpful in helping the members understand well in advance what this is about.
Yeah, well, we're already 10 minutes ahead of schedule, and I feel like this is going very smoothly, so I think we're on to something. So the next order of business, we've got a couple of items that we're going to take consecutively. The first is to consider traffic calming improvements on Prospect Street. And speaking to this are members of the Town Engineering Department. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to see everybody tonight. Thanks for having us. Yes, Mr. Chairman, you are correct. This is for traffic calming improvements on Prospect Street. Through the various fire station meetings, Board of Selectmen meetings, town meeting, every meeting, there was discussions about speeding on Prospect Street. It was also on our Complete Streets plan. We promised the residents on Prospect Street that we would go through, evaluate that corridor. We had meetings with the police department who concurred that speeding is an issue on Prospect Street. We've had several meetings with stakeholders that live on that street. I believe a couple of them are here tonight, Mr. Pop Rocker and Mr. Phillips, sorry. I know Matthew Wells, they almost called you Matthew Wells. Matthew Phillips is here. They both live on that street, and they also talked to all the, they went around knocking on doors, talking to the residents about the plan in front of you tonight as our medium. And the plan in front of you tonight has been vetted by most of the people that live on that street. Nope. If that's the only issue tonight, we're good. So, the plan is for Prospect Street. So in summary, the improvements are we're providing 2 speed humps on Prospect Street. If you can think of Prospect Street being 1,000 feet long, I'm not sure if that's the length. The first third is a speed hump. On the second third, coming from the other direction, there's a speed hump. On each side of the first speed hump coming from the Park Street side, there's a radar feedback sign to slow cars down before they hit the speed bump. We implemented speed humps, they're not bumps, speed humps on Walnut Street, and they certainly achieved the goal almost too well, right? So, I mean, we all know if you go down Walnut Street, you're going to slow down because the bumps are bumps. So we learned from that. Those were our first prototypes in town. What we've done with these speed humps, and we've also taken notes from the fire chief with concerns over the fire trucks, and he signed off on this too, is instead of a 12-foot wide speed hump, we've extended out 2 more feet and made the height about 1.5 inches lower, which sounds not like a much, but if you have a 4.5-foot height on a speed hump, that's shorter. It's going to feel more like a hard bump than a gradual speed hump. We also did this, we had to go out and restripe those speed humps. We had complaints from various people who lived on Walnut Street that you couldn't see the speed hump until you were on it. So now you see the new striping, which worked out. So we took some bumps and bruises, I think, on Walnut Street as the first speed bump/hump, and we've applied those, those issues to these new speed humps, and we think they're gonna work out well. there's also going to be a reduced speed sign at the start of Park Street onto Turnpike Street. So 2 speed humps, 2 speed feedback signs, and a reduced speed sign at the Park and Turnpike Street intersection. Again, there are residents here that live on the street that might want to speak to this, but, I'm sorry, Park and Prospect Street? Yeah, sorry about that, yeah. I'd be welcome to take any questions.
Sure. We'll start with the board. Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Carrera.
The signs that you're going to put in, will they flash as approached? They'll be flashing?
The speed feedback signs are going to be flashing, yep. Yep.
And
They're solar
what
powered.
will the speed be when it flashes for you?
Whatever the speed limit is, usually about 5 miles above that. But I'd have to get those details for you. For you, it's going to be a
I
lot,
think
it'll
that
be a lot
road-
higher speed.
I think that road's 30.
I believe you're right.
And
So-
I was going to say, why don't we just make it 25 the whole way, and that'll aggravate people because they come off of Park Street, probably doing 45, 50 when they hit the fire department. And then as they go up the hill, they get down to about maybe 40. So I figured if we just make it one set low all the way up, people are going to get aggravated because they jump around to get to 24 because it's getting jammed up, and they're using Prospect as a raceway.
So there are some static speed limit signs that'll be posted as well, and they'll be set at 30 miles per hour. So that'll be incorporated with the speed feedback signs too, to be set at that particular speed limit. And then as you approach the speed humps, it says, speed hump ahead, and then speed limit is 20 through that zone. So, I mean, you have to slow down anyway, but gives you
That's
that
good.
clue. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody have any questions on this side? Mr. Gito. Sorry, Mr. Gito, would you mind using your mic?
Did it myself. We now have 2 locations where we have speed bumps. Are we developing any criteria for where we should be putting these? Or do we just listen to people and say, oh, there's an awful lot of talk here, we better put one in? I mean, I can see over time that we may end up with half the streets in town having speed bumps because we've done that in other locations with stop signs. So I guess I know the answer is no, but maybe the answer should be yes within about a year or a little bit less than that. There are other towns that have these all around us, and they must have some criteria for that. Or maybe you'll find out that none of them do. But we shouldn't be, we should be a little bit parsimonious in terms of having these things throughout the town.
At the moment, we don't really have a standardized set of conditions for where we'd, install a speed hump. However, it is sort of one of the items that we pick from traffic calming devices and protocols that we can institute on roadways. So, there's the various other approaches such as lane narrowing. They have chicanes where you can kind of divert the traffic to slow it down a little bit. So this is one particular item that we choose from. I don't know that it's necessarily our preferred one. We like to try to implore other types of mechanisms to slow down the traffic if we can. With Prospect Street, where it's a straight run, we have lots of intersections. This really sort of lent itself to one of the obvious answers that we really needed to use them here. So I think we sort of like to look at each individual case and analyze it and see where it fits. But we can certainly, get some check boxes as to where and when we should be using them.
Yeah, and just to follow up with Craig's point, yeah, Eric's absolutely right. We can't just start throwing these speed humps everywhere. But on long, straight roads, generally, that's going to be the first criteria that you'll look at. Speaking to the police department would be a second spot. How many speeding tickets do you give on a road? That kind of thing. So I think you're right. We should try to standardize the process, but I think a particular street would meet every checkbox.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting that we change our position on this. Suggesting that we think about how many of these we have, whether these are the best way of doing it. I mean, the technology's there to tell how fast people are going. I mean, we know that because we do that throughout the town at various locations. And I don't know whether or not we can do anything with that data or if it's illegal to do anything with that.
Thank you. Madam Vice Chair.
You to the engineers, and I just wanted to thank you and show how much I appreciated having the letter from our fire chief with it. Practically, the memorandum practically answered all the questions that I had, and one was specific to the emergency vehicles and how would they react to the speed bumps and things like that, and how you took that in consideration, and I thought that was very, very helpful. Keep up the good work.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. McCrisky, do you have any questions?
Not a question, it's a comment. Just as we're Greg for the work they did on this, I actually have in my private career, I have access to and suggested to me on exactly what Mark and Craig have presented here. The biggest problem we have on that stretch of road is when they come off of Park Street onto Prospect, they're moving at a pretty good clip, and they seem to carry that on till about midpoint where the road starts to incline. So right in that area is where they're proposing these, and I think that's going to help an awful lot. This happened much immediately, Mark, I believe, after we paved the road.
Right.
I had 3 residents in the area call me up and saying that, the speed. At the time, we had, the dig outs on the road and all that, and we let it sit until we were done with the fire station project. So I think impact on the road in making it easier for the driveways. So thanks, Mark and Craig, for the job you did.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Excellent. I don't really have any comment questions. I do just have the comment that as these were implemented on Walnut, I hadn't had experience with them, or the where they were much bigger. There's a couple places in Maryland where they're significantly the road practically. They're big, so I was more curious. Like I was kind of curious to see what kind of impact it would have on my own driving on that road, and I was very felt like I'm not going to bottom out. Time there's a will to just sort of slow down, take a little, and it's like it's wonderful to see, and no harm to your suspension. So these were very successful there. I see the wisdom in doing in this location as well, and I'm glad to see that the fire chief agrees. I would like to, even though this is not a public hearing, there are a lot of people who are going to be affected by these, and I would love to get the input of people who live on that road. If you live on this, in this case, it's Prospect, where you might be affected by these calming improvements, we'd like to hear your input. We are short on time, so if you don't mind just being, you don't have to. It's not a thumbs up, thumbs down, but if you don't mind just sort of staying succinct, I would appreciate that. And give your name and address if you don't mind.
Matt Phillips. I live at 419 Prospect Street, directly across from the fire station. And when I became a town meeting rep and I talked to Mark, this was kind of already in the works. And we have lived there for 10 years now. I have 2 young children, and coming off Park to Prospect has been terrible. And even worse now that it's a brand new NASCAR track. And so when they were already talking about that they had this kind of going on and brought me into it, I was like, yes, this is exactly what I was thinking along these lines, because we got to slow the cars down, because I can only yell and swear at the cars speeding by so many times, to be honest with you. But it's terrible. I mean, we park, not that it's going to change, but we park our vehicles double stacked at the end of the driveway, just so if the kids lose one of their toys, it does not end up out on the street, because at 20 miles an hour, you might be able to react, but at 50 miles an hour, you're not going to. So I am 100% for this. I've talked to my surrounding neighbors, and they're in the same boat as I am. They yell at probably as much as I do, to be quite honest with you. You can hear them. But yeah.
Excellent. I really appreciate the input.
Thank you. Scotty, I am saying hi to you.
Hello, I'll be brief, but thanks for letting me speak. Greg Pokraka, 318 Prospect Street. I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Mark and Craig for being incredibly thorough. This wasn't an emotional type thing. It's emotional for us who live on Prospect Street, right, for the safety of all the residents and our families. But they looked at this from the data and made recommendations which we all 100% support. I've talked to many of my neighbors as well, very supportive of this, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Mark and Craig. Thank you to the board for considering this.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Walsh.
Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street. I mean, this has been a historical issue. I actually had a student who was playing in her front yard on Prospect Street 50 years ago, and a car left the road and hit her. But another thing to consider, to what a previous speaker was talking about, I do most of my traveling by the Council on Aging bus, Dial-A-Bat, or ambulance. And these things do not have any kind of shocks. I mean, when you go over one of those speed bumps, you almost either come out of your seat or fall off the gurney. So I don't know, I mean, what the fire chief said, but maybe he hasn't ridden the back of an ambulance for quite a while. Now, if these two are put on Walnut Street, that's where the Council on Aging bus goes to get me to the Council on Aging. I know people are concerned about the safety of their children, but some of us old folks, our bones are having a hard time with these speed bumps. There's some on Central Street I hit every week too. Just try to keep a balance between the proliferation, because now that you've done 2 streets, I think you're going to get a lot more folks coming in, and at a point where, as a previous speaker mentioned, we can put stop signs everywhere we want in town, but if people don't pay attention, it doesn't do any good. We seem to have done everything we can, except, to me, I don't see enough enforcement of the speed limits. And I know we keep hearing there aren't enough people to do that. Maybe we could just hire some speed enforcement folks. I know when my brother was a police officer in Stoughton, every morning at 7 o'clock, he was at Leach Street and Prospect writing tickets and writing tickets and writing tickets. The only way these folks learn is if it costs them something. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else from the area who would like to speak? Don't feel an obligation, but I want to make sure you're heard if you'd like to be heard. Seeing nobody, we're going to move on to the board. If there's no further questions, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, the motion is to approve the recommendation of the engineering department as laid out in the memorandum provided to us. And it was made by Mr. Carrera, seconded by Mr. McCrisky. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? It passes unanimously, and I very much appreciate you guys taking the time to work through this. Okay. Just for the record, Mr. Carrera is recusing himself from discussion of this next item. The agenda item itself is to consider approval of new construction single-family dwelling, map 2, lot 89, Wildwood Road. Once again, from the engineering department.
Thank you, and good evening again. We're here tonight for a proposed development of a residential lot on an unconstructed roadway. It's Wildwood Road. The Select Board, acting as street commissioners for the town of Stoughton, have jurisdiction over activities within private ways through Town Code, Chapter 162, Article 4, Section 14, street extensions or paper streets. So this applies to unconstructed ways that were previously subdivided prior to subdivision control or not constructed per subdivision rules and regulations. The town code requires that access must be constructed to meet the minimum width required by subdivision regulations, which is 24 feet. Other standards, such as utilities, stormwater, grading, must be sufficient for the intended use, and the board may waive some of these requirements where deemed acceptable. Typically, what we look at when these applications come before us is whether or not the proposed access meets the requirements for the proposed development. This particular location is limited to one single-family residential dwelling. It will be a two-bedroom dwelling. There's no opportunity for further development beyond that. We've consulted with the fire chief and fire department as to whether or not the proposed width of the access way, which is 20 feet. There's 12 feet pavement and 8 feet of gravel on either side of the roadway. The fire chief is satisfied with that particular width. During the course of review, we actually requested that the applicant look at and design into their plans a turnaround area up at the dwelling location so that the emergency vehicles can get up there and they don't have to back out of the driveway. A couple other tricky things with this particular development is the topography is kind of steep as you go from east to west. On the west side of the driveway, there's a wetland area. This project went before the Conservation Commission for review of, grading, stormwater management, so forth. That goes along with a project like this. They reviewed the project thoroughly and issued an order of conditions to permit the development. So, sort of the last step is to come before this board now and permit the work within that private way.
Perfect. Just to summarize from somebody who doesn't necessarily know anything about this, I want to make sure that I understand it correctly. There is a paper street, essentially something on a map. It's a street that the town recognizes as a place to essentially build a street, an easement for a street, but it has not been constructed. So right now it's just unconstructed land, and in order for somebody who's building a house to do that construction, they're looking for that paper street to be constructed as part of their project.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions from members of the board?
To clarify for you, Steve?
Oh, sorry, yes.
The word paper street can also be called private way.
Private way.
A paper street is an unconstructed private way.
Okay, so this is not a municipal property. This would be a private street.
Once this is built, it's not going to be accepted as a public way.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Gito.
Do we have any similar places where this has already occurred?
That's a good question, Mr. Gito. Since I've been here, we've probably been in front of this board maybe 5 or 6 times, and the last time might have been 5 or 6 years ago. I want to say is it Vaughn Street?
There was
There's one off Vaughn.
7th Street, which is
7th Street.
Ash Park Drive
Yep.
extension. We did that one.
All these were with one house.
Yep.
The intent, when this was put into the code, the paper street regulations, there were many areas in town that had 5, 6, 10 lots off a paper street. So people felt that there was a need to control that development because these people had the right to build on these lots, but they didn't have to go in front of the planning board for subdivision control. So there was no way to standardize what that could be. People could have came in with a 10-foot wide driveway. As long as the building inspector signed off on it, they were good. This gives us a set of review controls to standardize how roads are developed in town. So obviously 4 or 5 lots should require a wider road with larger facilities for stormwater and things like that than a one-lot subdivision, if you want to call it that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Pokrzywski? So I just have one question, it might be stated in here in a way that I don't necessarily see it, and I apologize for this. But I noticed that it mentions that other standards such as utility, stormwater, and grading must also be sufficient for the intended use. So I assume that means that this road is also going to be paved. And I know there are some private ways that aren't, and I think that people who live on those roads sometimes bought a house after a couple of generations of people living there find that very frustrating. So it sounds like this has to be paved so that the issues with potholes and it's just part of a dirt road are something that they will not have to deal with in the future.
You're a pretty smart guy, Mr. Cavey, because you picked up on a good point. There's a lot of private ways in Stoughton that are gravel, and this one we're saying has to be paved. And those private ways you're talking about have several homes on them. Many of those private ways were constructed before subdivision control, before these regulations were in place. They go back years and years and years. So there was no controls in place. But now, if you had that situation, you would have to come and submit to your select board under the paper street regulations and have some sort of there would be pavement out there now.
Perfect. Yeah. That I think saves a lot of headaches for the next 100 years. It's going to save some headaches. If there's no other questions, is there a motion?
Motion to approve as presented.
Okay. There's a motion to approve by Mr. Pokrzywski. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Vice Chair Roberts. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Very much.
Before you go anywhere, we are ahead of schedule here, and I would love to be able to knock out town meeting draft warrant so you don't have to sit around for the next hour.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. I believe the board has a one-page summary sheet of where we are right now with just high-level topics for your special town meeting. What we've done is we've laid out a calendar like we do every year. I believe that was handed out to you a few meetings ago. Where we are now is every department head has seen the schedule. They've submitted their topics to us. We're in the process of gathering all the backup information like quotes and narratives and things like that. So when you have the meeting for your setting, opening the town warrant, you'll have all that information. And then obviously when you close the warrant, the information will even be better at that standpoint. So you got pretty much 3 shots at looking at information and asking questions. This is the first shot where you have all the high-level topics in front of you. 2 or 3 items may come off the list. We may get 2 or 3 more things on the list when you decide to open the warrant on September 2nd. If you'd like, I can go through the articles right now, or if you want, you can review the articles, come up with questions, you can email us. But again, we don't have the backup information, so a lot of your questions may be answered when you have the backup information. Every day I've been receiving the quotes and backup information and organizing them in my folders. So if you want, we can go through them one by one quick, or you can hold back and send us questions throughout the next couple weeks, or answer them at your next meeting. It's whatever the board would like.
Sure. So you're looking for us to open the warrant at our next meeting in September, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
September 2nd.
It's September 16th?
2nd.
Second. So our next, maybe not our next meeting, the meeting after that, right? So it's going to be September
So the-
2nd, the first meeting in September.
The reason for that, the earliest date you can open it is September 8th, which would be a Monday. So the week before would be the September 2nd date.
Yeah. Perfect. So we'll have a couple of weeks to look through these and get more information, and people can ask questions. But the purpose of this is really just to give people an idea of what was going to be requested in the next couple of weeks.
Correct.
And in fact, probably closing the warrant on the 16th, I believe. So that means that we're
It's up to you. You can close it. It's got to be open for 7 days.
yeah.
So it could be on September 9th.
Yeah, so it's almost a month away before we close this.
Yep.
So, if people have, we can go through all of them individually, and it might be wise to do that, because I think that there's enough here that are worth at least giving a summary of. So I apologize, but
No, that's fine. Okay, so we'll start off at number 1. Again, the numbers are just arbitrary at this point. We put things where we thought they fit now.
will you pull your mic a little bit closer?
Yep. All right. So starting off with Article 1, pretty much just a standard article for special town meetings now. Sunset clause, article closeout. We don't have any particular articles lined up just yet. Our finance department's running the eligible articles as we speak. So we should have a chart for you if there are any to be closed out. Number 2 is a FY26 supplemental budget adjustment article. Again, our finance director is even seeing the applicability of that article as we speak. We may or may not need that article come September 2nd. Unpaid bills prior to fiscal years. That's, again, a pretty standard placeholder article. We do have some unpaid bills, unfortunately. Adopt Chapter 200, Section 9A. This is from the finance director and treasurer. This is for disposition of abandoned funds by the town, otherwise called as tailings. The treasurer would be now authorized to hear claims, appeals, and disbursement of those funds. So that's adopting Chapter 200, Section 9A. Article 5, Chapter 60, Section 62A, adopting that. This is again from the finance director and treasurer. This authorized payment agreements between the treasurer and the person entitled to redeem parcels and tax title. So instead of everything going to tax title, this allows the treasurer to work out a payment plan. Article 6 is rescinding an article. This is Chapter 60, Section 3D. This allows the town to provide aid to elderly and disabled through a special fund with voluntary check-off donations on tax bills. There's serious administrative issues with this article that were unintended when the article was adopted. For example, essentially what this article did was it allows you to donate to this fund through your tax bill. It's intended to have a separate check, but a lot of people write one check. So if, say, your tax bill was $1,000 and you wanted to donate $100 and you wrote a check for $1,100, it does not go into the system directly. It gets bounced back, and it creates serious administrative issues. We're looking at. We certainly believe this is a great article to have. How can you disagree with this article? But we're trying to figure out another way to accomplish the same goal. So right now, this is a placeholder. Tom and I got some details to work through on this, but we'll keep you posted on that. Probably number 7, if you were going to justify a reason for special town meeting, would be number 7, for the Fano Drive acquisition and the town parcel conveyance. You've seen this plan. In summary, what this is for the South School project. The town would be acquiring Fano Drive, the whole length of Fano Drive right away, and 3 parcels along Faneuil Drive for stormwater management purposes for the construction of Faneuil Drive. In swap, and I use swap loosely because in the legal world, there's no land swaps, but we would be conveying a part of the town land that's on the other side of these parcels in back of the existing South School. Not the whole parcel, but a portion of it, approximately 8 acres. And again, this is something your board has seen in the past. Obviously, you could talk for a long time about this particular article, but there's huge benefits from an access standpoint through Faneuil Drive, just from saving money. We were building bridges through huge wetlands, 2 of them, 2 different bridges to 2 different wetlands to access the South School because we didn't have control of Faneuil Drive. Metal bridges twice as long as this building that we're in right now to get over a wetland. You can just imagine how much money that would cost. By providing Faneuil Drive, we have better access. We'll have a better street, less maintenance. And for future planning, we have the cut through right to Sumner Street, which everybody could see the benefit of that from a public safety standpoint, just from school access standpoint. There's a lot of benefits. Article 8 is a placeholder for the Public Works Union. I don't believe we're at the point where we have an MOA, but we're getting very close. The town manager could get into that a little more, but I believe that's where we are. Article 9, annual roadway paving. This is becoming a pretty standard now that our town manager came up with a great plan about 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, about getting this done in the fall rather than the spring, so we can get all the contract documents in, get the bids in the winter, so we're ready to go in the spring and not necessarily late summer like we used to with our paving, or fall. So that's our annual roadway paving. We'll have a chart for exactly what all those roads are very soon. Water main replacements, same idea. Our water department has a water master plan, and hopefully every year or 2 we'll be replacing the old 1900 water mains or water mains that need repair. It gets to a point where you just have like 20 water main projects going on at the same time, so there may be a year we skip here and there, but generally we're trying to fix water mains every year. Article 11, the details I'm sure our town manager could discuss. He's been over at this facility every day watching the project. I don't want to say managing the project, but kind of. So he's been there every single day. This is for unforeseen furniture, fixtures, and equipment for that particular project for the train depot. There's some clock tower repairs that need to be done. There's some painting outside the canopy that needs to be done, all not in the original scope. Right now it's estimated at $350,000. ADA improvements, Article 12 to town facilities. We finished our ADA plan. Our facilities director worked with our building commissioner to come up with a priority list to start making this a standard article until all our building facilities are addressed and up to par from an ADA standpoint. Again, this article actually addresses several buildings, and you will have that back information very soon. Voting machines, the town clerk talked about that earlier. This is for the purchase of 5 additional voting machines. I believe 2 of those are spares, and there's 3 additional machines needed. Article 14, sidewalk tractor replacement. This is a sidewalk tractor that just got demolished in an accident. So we have a placeholder article here. We don't expect to use this article. This is kind of a placeholding, and we may need to purchase it and then get reimbursed from the insurance. We just need the sidewalk tractor before the winter comes. And if we don't have the reimbursement from the insurance, we're going to need the article to purchase the sidewalk tractor before the winter. Yep.
Chairman, point of information.
Yes.
This was an at-fault accident by the vehicle operator. So the machine, our insurance company will pay for it, and they will subrogate to the other operator's insurance company. So the net impact on us will be 0, which, as Mark pointed out, could be completed before we get to town meeting.
Correct.
Thank you.
Almost there. Article 15, demolition of the State Theater. Again, this methodology was in place for another building in the downtown. The building is an unsafe structure. It's been deemed an unsafe structure by the building commissioner and by the fire chief. cannot be utilized. There's serious structural cracks in the building, foundation settlement, the emergency fire gates falling off the building, or almost falling off the building. And I think if there was an issue with that building, the whole block would have an issue. So we certainly need to address that issue. We got quotes to demo the building, not to take. This isn't eminent domain taking or anything like that. This is just a demo of the building. For the highest quote was $650,000. There were lower quotes, but we took the higher quote, and then we also believe there will be unforeseen conditions in a building like that, like asbestos abatement and things like that. We rounded up to $1 million. We haven't hired a professional to go in there and evaluate the whole building. We're just being conservative with the number at this point. Article 16, zoning map amendment. There's a few parcels off Central Street near Dykeman Way that are industrial zoned. They have commercial businesses in them. Really, they're surrounded by all residential houses. Our planner and planning board feel strongly that they should be zoned to match more the surrounding neighborhood, which would be a general business area. And again, once I show you the map and you have the map, you'll look at it and I think you would agree that the area should be general business. Bird Street's historic preservation, submitted by the CPC, also sponsored Jerry McDonald from the Conservation Commission. There's going to be some preservation of historic foundations and walls on site at the Bird Street facility. More details coming on that. Lastly, the CPC has requested an article closeout. There'll be several articles that can be closed out because the projects are complete.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Wow. One final point as a follow-up to Article 15. Joe asked the question. I think the rest of the board members would want the information. We would not be taking this building by eminent domain. Under a very separate statute, we're able to demolish the building at prevailing wage rates and then have a first lien position plus interest on the value of the property for when it is transferred. Now, we have given multiple certified letters to the building owner. He has made multiple promises to tear the building down. He has not yet done that. So in 2 weeks, you will receive an agenda item requesting your vote. There are two ways to do it. One is by eminent domain, which is a long process. We're not choosing that. The other is by a vote of the Board of Selectmen in response to the hazard that this building is causing to the community, as measured by our building inspector and our Board of Health. And with your vote and town meeting approval, the building will be torn down. My sense is that this will never come to pass, just like the hole in the ground, because the gentleman who owns the building will have to repay us at prevailing wage rates plus 14% interest. So I'm sure he'll do it on his own.
So one piece of information that I don't know if everybody necessarily knows. My understanding is that this building has been condemned.
That's correct.
So it's beyond saving. This building is condemned.
It's
and
been
requires
deemed an
demolition.
unsafe structure by the building inspector and the fire chief.
Okay, thank you
In
very much.
writing.
I do want to open up the questions, and I'm going to start with Mr. Carrera before I go on. I know that some of these questions you might not have answers to because we've just seen this. If you don't, feel free to say that you'll get back to us. But I want people to be able to ask the questions they have. Mr. Carrera.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad you brought up those facts, Tom, because believe it or not, the fire chief is the strongest guy in the town of Stoughton, more than anybody. If he deems that, on these issues, that if he deems something is hazardous, a danger to the community, he has the right to step in and order this type of work to be done. The building inspector will back him up to make sure it's torn down properly with fencing, handling the air that's around it. It's got to be wet, and then the stuff has to be taken to a proper site. The key thing is we're going to lean them and do it that way. I did a job in Rentham at the request of the fire department and the building inspector there. I just happened to be in the right spot at the right time, and it was amazing how it happened so fast. no, they weren't afraid of ordering it to be done, and they just immediately leaned the property. And they got a substantial amount on that. So if you get the qualified guy, it gets done right. But I just was hoping that the fire chief was the one who stepped in and ordered it, and nobody has to worry about that, because he, under statute, state regs, he's got it. Thank you.
Perfect. Mr. McCrisky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark and Tom just mentioned that the building was condemned, or is it deemed unsafe?
I don't know the legal difference, Joe, and I'll research that, but we know it's been closed. They received by certified mail that the building is to be torn down. It is unsafe. It is a fire hazard. The whole block will be blown out, will be destroyed if that goes on fire. So whether, it's a legal term that Brian has been guiding us on. If it's been formally condemned, I'm not sure, but I'll get that answer to you.
I'd like to know the dates of any of that certification, whether it's
Sure.
deemed unsafe by the fire chief or it was condemned, because I don't see one of those big red and white X's on it, which I believe that's condemned. You know, that tells firefighters to stay out of it if it were to catch fire.
I'll speak with the commissioner tomorrow morning.
I'd just like to know those dates.
We have all those letters, Joe, and there is a big orange play card on it, too. That says
On the
unsafe.
building?
Yeah,
Where?
on the door, the front door,
On the front door?
unless somebody
Okay.
recently ripped it off. It's been there.
Okay. All right, yeah, if you could just get me a copy of those, I'd appreciate it, Mark. Thank
Yep.
you.
When, to help Mr. McCrisky in the way it's done, when a building's condemned, it gives the owner a chance to make the repairs that the condemn is aiming at. When it's deemed unsafe and it must come down by the fire chief, like I said before, that's it. There's no why, if, what's that. He's said it, and it's got to come down.
Thank you. Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's something that Mr. McCrisky said that sparked a question from me to our engineers, and it was, if that building catches on fire, then all the buildings will catch on fire. So that means to me that there are no firewalls in between each of those, I call them businesses. So like the restaurant, then we have the theater, then we have on and on down barbershop. No firewalls in that long strip. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, I don't have the details on the firewalls.
But we know that the theater on the left flank, right, do not have firewalls. Is that what you're?
No, I don't know anything about.
Okay.
I'm not a firewall expert or anything like
Okay.
that. But
So
but I do know the building directly touches a lot of buildings,
Mm-hmm.
and if the building were to come down, it would negatively affect all the buildings of touching it.
In a fire.
Yeah.
I trust the judgment of the engineers and our fire chief, so I just wanted, for my own personal knowledge, I just wanted to have that.
Mr. Chairman, I toured that building with the fire chief. It is full of mold. It's full of asbestos. We saw a number of rats, even though there are traps. There are structures falling down. There's an imminent danger of that building collapsing. And if people, migrants reside in that building, not migrants, what's what I'm looking for, vagrants reside in that building, their health would be affected very, very quickly. It's a true hazard. And again, we've met with the gentleman several times, and several times he's promised to take it down, and he's failed to do so. My sincere hope is that he does take it down prior to town meeting. It just requires a building permit and a full abatement of mold and asbestos. That's within his realm. It would be a lot cheaper than us doing it at prevailing wage and then back charging him. Again, things don't happen naturally. We've got to push this envelope to rehab our downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gito, do you have any questions or comments?
I'd like to get some information first. I don't need to do it here.
Sure. Okay, so we've been sort of given the highlights of the items, a list of the items. We still have a number of steps ahead of us. At our September 2nd meeting, we will open the warrant, and then at our subsequent meeting, which is on September 16th, we would close the warrant at that point after inserting these articles, assuming that, there's no changes between then and now.
The latest date you can close the warrant would be September 15th,
15?
which is a Monday, so that's why we've been doing things the week before.
Yeah, I
on
appreciate it.
Tuesday.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Just want to take a look at the calendar. Okay, so we're opening the 2nd, and then you're looking to close it on the 9th. Thanks for clarifying that. I didn't catch it. So we'll be meeting on the 2nd and the 9th of September. Yeah, of course.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the town manager. Tom, is there any reason why we have to call this a special town meeting and we just can't go with, we have the annual and a fall? Because usually a special is a fire truck got crashed, the school lost a heater. That is like emergency, big money, we gotta act on it. Nothing here is like a dire emergency, except for maybe the theater. But the rest of it is just normal rhetoric that we handle at town meetings. So is there any way we have to call it a special?
So my understanding of the statute itself is that each town is required to have an annual town meeting, and any meeting that isn't an annual town meeting is a special town meeting.
Right.
In fact, our select board meetings, we have 2 by statute. Any meeting that we have that's off of that schedule is a special meeting of the select board. So it doesn't mean that the items addressed in it are special in any way, just that the meeting itself isn't the annual.
Should be.
That is, I think, Mass General law. I could be mistaken. We actually have an attorney here, so maybe, Mr. Chaplin, could you, provide some insight on this? I forgot you were here.
That's a correct statement. The statute requires that you have an annual meeting, so it's the same thing for my planning board. We meet the first Wednesday of every month, and last night we had a meeting that was a special meeting because it wasn't our ordinary meeting. So
Yeah.
that's exactly
Mr.
right.
Chairman.
Mr. McCrisky.
This has gone on for years with people that have approached me and said, what's special about it? And the charter says we can call a meeting anytime we want. All right, so I would agree with a fall town meeting, if that's what we're going to call it, whatever, but because using the word special, it's special because it's not the annual town meeting. So it's a different one. State can call it that, but it does confuse people that I've found. And they said, what's special about it? And it does confuse some people. So I think if we did that, a fall town meeting, because it usually is specials in the fall for the most time, it just makes it easier that people will now say, okay, because we usually do have a special, right? We've been calling it that. So I just think it changes it so that people don't think it's special for a reason. It's all the reasons that are included in the agenda, so the articles, but that's just my thoughts.
Well, we can see what we can do. We'll check to see what was,
Mr. Chairman,
what we can informally or formally call these things.
you'd be surprised at how much time and legal expense we've spent on answering that question.
I had a comment, but I'll keep it to myself. Thank you very much, guys. I think we're good here, and so we'll see you back on September 2nd.
Thank you for taking all 3 items at once. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So we're going to take just a 5-minute recess. We're going to take a 5-minute recess, and we'll be right back. The time is 8:39, so we'll be back around 8:45. Okay. Hello, everybody. We call to order the Select Board meeting. The time is 8:53. We're going to take one item on the agenda out of order. We're going to take right now item number 7, which is scheduled for 8:45. It's pursuant Mass General Law, Chapter 140, Section 157, to hear and consider a request dated June 26, 2025, for a dangerous dog hearing filed by the Stoughton Animal Control Officer concerning a dog harbored at 47 Federico Circle and owned by Francis Lai. So as we currently are doing, public hearings are overseen by our Vice Chair, Deborah Roberts. So for the purposes of this hearing, our acting chair is Deborah Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I will read the notice of the hearing into the record, and then I will accept a motion to open the hearing. So the notice of hearing to be held pursuant to GLC 140, Section 157. Dear Ms. Lai, please be advised that on August 19, 2025, at 8:45 p.m., at the Great Hall, 10 Pearl Street, 3rd floor, Stoughton, Massachusetts, the Town of Stoughton Select Board will conduct a hearing pursuant to GLC 140, Section 157, to determine whether your dog, Chase, is a dangerous dog or a nuisance dog as defined by GLC 140, Section 136A. If the board finds that your dog is dangerous, it will also determine what measures it will take to protect the public from your dog in accordance with GLC 140, Section 157C. Alternatively, if the board finds that your dog is a nuisance, it may order you to take remedial action to ameliorate the cause of the nuisance behavior pursuant to GLC 140, Section 157B. The subjects to be discussed at the hearing will include, but not be limited to, an alleged incident occurring on June 9, 2025, whereby Chase is alleged to have attacked a 9-year-old resident. The hearing will be held pursuant to the provisions of GLC 140, Section 157. You may appear on your own behalf or with an attorney, call and question witnesses, and present evidence. Copies of all reports and other records that may be discussed during the hearing have been provided to you. If additional copies are needed, please let us know. Signed by Thomas J. Coulter, our town manager. I will accept a motion to open the public hearing, please.
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. It has been determined that additional information is needed, and all presents are asked to be present because they suggested that they are present. And I would ask our town council if he has any comments in that regard. And then we will move to continue the hearing in 2 weeks, and that would put the date at September 2nd. Now to you, Attorney Chaplin.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. It has come to our attention today that the animal control officer is not able to make this evening's hearing. Also, that the mother of the alleged victim is not able to be here as well and was anticipating testifying. So it's two material witnesses that we are not able to hear testimony from this evening. It would therefore be appropriate to continue the hearing to a date and time certain.
And
Madam Vice Chair?
yes,
Given the fact that, relevant parties to this agenda item aren't able to make it, and their testimony, I think, would be valuable to us to render an appropriate decision, I move that we postpone this meeting to...
Continue.
Sorry, thank you. Continue. This wasn't coming to me. Continue the meeting to Tuesday, September 2nd at 8 p.m.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Motion to close the public.
No.
No, let's just continue. We're done.
It stays open.
It stays open? Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So that was agenda item number 7. We are moving on to item number 6 now. We're going back to that. This is to discuss Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 34 violation, KN LLC, doing business as Andrade Liquors, 280 Washington Street. A vote is expected. And this is also a public hearing. And so I will once again turn this over to Vice Chair Roberts.
The notice of public hearing pursuant to GLC 138, Section 64, to consider modifying, suspending, or revoking liquor license. Regarding liquor license number 2025-61, ABCC number 89388-PK-1244. Dear Mr. Patel, the Select Board, as the Town of Stoughton's local licensing authority, hereby gives notice of a public hearing on Tuesday, August 19th, 2025 at 8:30 p.m. at the Stoughton Town Hall, 10 Pearl Street, Stoughton, Mass. 02072, in the Great Hall, 3rd floor, in accordance with GLC 138, Section 64, and Stoughton Bylaws, Article 3, Chapter 209, Section 1, to determine whether KN LLC, doing business as Andrade Liquor, the holder of a license issued pursuant to GLC 138, Section 15, to conduct business at the premises located at 208 Washington Street, Stoughton, Massachusetts, 02072, has violated the provisions of said Chapter 138, any rules and regulations promulgated therefore, and any of the town's alcoholic beverage licensing regulations, and if such violations are found to have occurred, whether such license should be modified, suspended, or revoked in accordance with GLC 138, Section 23. The subject to be discussed at the hearing includes the following alleged violations of the conditions placed on the license. Number 1, sale of alcohol to a person under the age of 21 in violation of GLC 138, Section 34, and Town Regulations, Section XS 11A, or Roman numeral 2022, said violations occurring on or about Wednesday, June 25th, 2025, at approximately 7:20 p.m. The hearing will be held pursuant to the provisions of GLC 138, Section 64. You may appear on your own behalf and or with an attorney and present evidence and witnesses. You may also rebut any evidence presented at the hearing, including cross-examining opposing witnesses, if any. Then it goes on to attaches a copy of a complaint received by the Select Board for your information. If you have any questions, please contact the Stoughton Select Board's office, signed by Tom Coulter, our town manager. Thank you very much. Motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Attorney Japlin.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I note that we are joined by Attorney Arthur Perlman on, I'm not sure if we use Zoom. I think we actually use a different technology here in Stoughton. I note that there does not appear to be anybody from the licensee present. So I would ask Attorney Perlman as an initial matter, is your client planning to attend, or are you planning to make a presentation on behalf of your client?
I'll be responding to whatever the board's doing, yeah. I'm representing it.
Is your client planning to be in attendance?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. And Attorney Perlman, what is your client's position with respect to the reported violation in June of this year?
I haven't heard anything presented yet.
Has your client had an opportunity to review the police report?
We've seen a police report, yes.
And do you admit to the facts that are reported in the police report? Do you deny them? What's your client's position?
Well, we're not debating them. We're not debating them.
So you acknowledge that the violation occurred?
Yeah, to my understanding, yes.
Okay. So there's no need to take testimony or review evidence relative to whether there was a sale of alcohol to a person under the age of 21 in violation of town regulation, state law. It would seem to me that the subject of the hearing is the punishment to be imposed by the board. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So with that, Madam Vice Chair, I would imagine that the board is perhaps even more familiar with its own alcohol regulations than I am, although I did bring a copy with me. When we were here last with respect to this licensee, it was on July 15th of this year. There had been 2 violations that had been cited by the Alcohol Beverage Control Commission. That acronym always trips me up. And this board did not impose any additional disciplinary action on account of those 2 violations, but did determine that any subsequent violations would be treated not as a first, but because these 2 prior violations would be treated as a third. So as we sit here this evening, under Section 209(1) of the board's alcohol regulations, we are under subcategory 1C. This will be treated as a third offense. We have the two offenses that were the subject of the July 15th hearing, and then we have this third offense that the facts of which are not in dispute. So I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have relative to alcohol licensing, ABCC precedent, or anything of that nature. But it's really a discretionary decision of the board.
I see one hand raised, and that's Mr. McCrisky. Yes, Mr. McCrisky.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, through you to the council. Were you able to review our guidelines on multiple violations? And
I didn't see one that gave me specifics as to
Well, I'm
what
sorry,
the-
sir. This was to our town council. I apologize. I should have been more specific. I apologize, sir. Did you review ours, and I am correct in the verbiage that a first was we would go as a notice of violation, the second was a 1-day, and a third would be a 3 to 5 day? Am I correct in that, in our policies?
The policy that's posted on the town website says that a first offense is a 1-day suspension, a second offense is a 5-day suspension, a third offense is a 7-day suspension.
Okay.
However, there is qualifying language in the regulations that say, and I'm going to quote this directly, notwithstanding any of the foregoing, the uniform liquor violation penalty shall be considered to be guidelines and shall not be deemed to limit the board's discretion to apply stricter or more lenient penalties as the board may deem appropriate.
Okay, that's why I asked for the clarification, because it was different than I remembered, and I've been off the board for a couple of years. It may have changed during that time, so that's why I looked for it. Thank you.
May I make any statements,
Yes, you
or
bet.
do you want me to wait until you people have done?
That must have been when I wasn't here.
Counsel, I would defer to the vice chair who's running the hearing.
Yes, Attorney, please, if you had a question.
No, I have a question. I believe that. How long have you had this? There's been acknowledgement that the offense that you're talking about did occur, but did you want me to say anything with regards to what might mitigate, or whatever you want to call it, any penalty that might be decided upon by your board? I would like to make a few points. if
Yes,
I might.
Claire, please share any information you deem material, please.
Sure. The first thing is, I want to make it clear that neither I nor my clients are saying that a sale, any sale, to anyone under the age of 21 is okay. They're greatly offended by the fact that their people did this. They've stressed it, whatever, but it still has happened. But I would like to point out a couple of things. When I was at the last meeting, it appeared as if everyone felt that there was 3 violations all at the same time virtually. And in fact, and they were all like the same type of violation. And I would just like to point that out, just so that we're all working for the same set of facts. One of the first violation that the board was talking about last time happened 16 months, a year and 4 months before the violation in Stoughton. And it was a violation of product being transferred from one of the client's store to another one of his stores, which the ABC has deemed to be inappropriate and against their rules. So it was a violation, don't get me wrong, but it was a different type of violation. The second violation happened 14 months before the violation in Stoughton, and that was to a sale of a minor. And he had been stressing it, and yet it still happened. And it did definitely happen. And so therefore, there are these violations that did occur, but I didn't want it to come across as if they were all sales to minors and that they were all happening at the same time. There was a distinction. My clients are right now taking a 2-pronged effort and I'm not sure which one's going to end. Well, one's going to definitely happen. The other one might happen as well. One is that there is a program that can go into the POS system that I don't want to say it makes it impossible, because nothing's impossible, but it makes it more difficult for any clerk who has a tobacco or liquor product that they scan into the system. It makes it very difficult for them to get out of it without getting a license. And they're going to have that installed. It's a few $1,000s. It's well worth it. He doesn't want to see this happening again. So that's one prong of what he's doing. And as you know, the purpose of discipline, as the ABC constantly stresses, is to protect the public and not for retribution. So we're trying really to protect the public. We are doing what we can to try to stop that. The other thing is, my client has put out into his community, which has a lot of people that are in this industry, to see if someone feels they could operate this store better, safer than they've been doing. And if there is someone, and they have talked to someone who's had some interest, they would sell it to someone else who feels that they could live closer, be there, and be there more hours, and be more tough on their employees or whatever. But they're taking action in a couple of areas, because they do not want this to happen, and they didn't want the board to think that they were being cavalier about this. They're not. But I did think it was important that the board understood that these didn't all happen in a month or so of each other. These didn't all just happen. And they weren't all sales to minors. There was one that was a different type of a violation. And anyway, so again, I'm not saying it's not appropriate. The board takes their action. They're going to do what they're going to do. We understand that. But we just want to let the board know. It's not like someone just doesn't care. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the board? So what Attorney Perlman indicated, he wanted to remind us that all three violations were not exactly the same, that the owner is taking action, not being cavalier. He's installing a machine, my understanding is a machine that will scan the driver's license to make it easier to identify the age. So that would reduce the likelihood of selling to underage minors. So do we have any other questions?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So the first violation that I have here is April 8th, 2023, and there's actually two counts. So there was one violation. It was a sale of alcohol to two minors. I'm assuming those are two separate transactions. And then a year later, on April 12th of 2024, there's a violation that really involves the transfer of bulk liquor, moving essentially boxes from one business to another. And then we have June 25, 2025, another sale to a minor. In that case, I think it's one count. And that amounts to the sale of liquor to a minor about once every year for the last 3 years, right? So you have two counts in the 2023, one count in 2025. That's over the span of 2 years and 2 months. Is that correct?
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are two of the dates that I have. Under the Stoughton regulations, you have a 2-year look back.
Okay.
So this most recent violation is June 25 of 2025. So we look back to June of 2023. So I also have that April 8, 2023 violation, but that's actually outside the 2-year look back.
Perfect. Thank you.
So the first violation that we have is February 16 of 2024, and Attorney
Oh, I
Perlman
missed that one. Thank you.
was referencing this. This was not a sale of a person to a person under the age of 21. This was what's referred to as consolidated buying, essentially multiple package stores buying, one package store buying for multiple, and then essentially functioning as a distributor to package stores without a distributor's license. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that's the nature of the violation. And as Attorney Perlman was saying, technically a violation, but different in kind than selling to somebody underage. Then the next violation we have is approximately 2 months after that, April 12th, 2024, and that's where we have sale of alcoholic beverage to person under the age of 21, 1-day suspension issued by the ABCC. By decision February of 2025, the hearing was held last summer, and that was compromised with the ABCC by the licensee and for a payment of $509 in lieu of the suspension punishment.
Perfect. I appreciate that because so we have this case in April 8th, 2023. It falls about 2 months outside the 2-year look back. That was a sale of minors. Two counts of a sale to minors, but the farthest we can go back is for the purposes of this hearing, is February 16, 2024, and that was just the transfer of liquor from one store to another, which is also a violation. And then we have April 12th, 2024. That's a sale to a minor. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then 2 months later, June 25th, 2025, sale to minor.
1 year and 2 months later. 14 months later.
I'm sorry. These dates I got. I'm doing my best here, but
That's okay.
I can't seem to keep it all straight.
Violation 1 is February 16th of 2024.
Got that.
Violation 2, April 12th of 2024.
Got that.
Violation 3, June of 2025.
Okay, I've got all three of those. In the first violation that we're looking at in February, that was the transfer of liquor, and
Correct.
the other two are sales to minors.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, I see. I follow. So it wasn't 2 months, it's 14 months. I appreciate that. Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I'm looking around the table. I see no other questions. So let's, to our citizens. I see Mrs. Walsh has raised her hand. Mrs. Walsh.
Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street. I was the chair of the committee that wrote the current policy, although it's been amended. As a person who, I don't drink because there's alcoholism on both sides of my family, and I've seen the damage it can do. So I think selling to a minor is a big deal. I'd like to know if the employee, was it the same employee who committed both violations, or was it two different employees? And I'd also like to know what happened to those employees. Are they still employed?
So counsel, Attorney Perlman, we ask you because we are not privy to that information.
The first employee is gone, long gone. The second employee, I'm not sure if they've been terminated yet. I'd have to find that out. I'm not sure. But they don't really stand for it. So I think they might, although sometimes you feel it's better to be punitive towards them and they learn from it. But a lot of times you just have to let them go. I know the first one was gone. The second one, I don't want to say that. I would presume they're gone, but I don't want to say that. I'm not sure.
Madam Chair, we don't, the town or the rules don't require that people be terminated, but if an employee is not terminated, I think the board should ask for some proof that that employee's received some additional training besides the machine. So many young people are tech savvy about these license business, or they use the license of a sibling or a relative to whom they bear some physical relation, some physical resemblance. But if that employee has not been terminated, I think the board should request that that employee go to some school or some training so that this doesn't happen time after time after time. And I think previous speakers mentioned we can't go back forever. We can only go back 2 years. And I understood from a previous meeting that the ABCC has already punished or fined or reprimanded or did something. So I don't want the owners of the business to think that this is double jeopardy, that they've been punished for a violation and now they'll be punished again. But I do understand that if there are further violations, that when we look back the 2 years, that the business understands we can look back 2 years, and that's not double jeopardy, that's just keeping track of the violations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Walsh. And that would be Mr. Carrera.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Through you to the town council. Whereas we have the latitude to put constraints on these licenses and add at any time if we think it's necessary, would it be unrealistic to say that whether they get people training or not, maybe for a year they got to just ask for the ID every time that somebody walks in that store, so that there's no games being played? I mean, it's one thing if somebody's got a phony one, there's no real way to check that, but at least they asked for it, so they went through the motion, not just, oh, hey, it's busy, thanks a lot.
So the subject of ABCC appeals tends to be suspensions and the duration of suspensions and whether those are appropriate. I've actually never had a condition challenged, but I think that condition would be quite reasonable, especially given that the history, both the history that falls within the disciplinary policy and the history that falls just outside of it, being a little bit more than 2 years ago.
And then they might have to display a sign that everybody that walks through this door, per order of, Stoughton Alcoholic Beverage, that your ID must be used. And then those that don't have will not enter.
That's a long sign.
Mr. Gito.
These are violations that have occurred when people were doing a check on on what was going on. It doesn't mean that those are the only times when liquor was sold to a minor. We saw in the earlier information that the town did a check on about 15, I don't know how many, licensees, and this was the only one on that particular day that was found to be in violation. We're not doing checks very often. It's pretty obvious. So I don't take this lightly in terms of a person being found in 3 or 4 different times to have violated on the times that we were doing an inspection. I mean, to my mind, that means that it's a pretty common thing for that company to be doing that. That doesn't mean that that's out of character with what the other people are doing. I don't know that, one way or the other. But it seems to me that that this is a pretty unusual number of times for the people that we are only looking at maybe once or twice a year. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we do that a lot more. And other people on this board may have more information that would indicate that we do it every month, every 3 months, every whatever. But I don't think so. Because if we did, we probably would see that in the record that that this person was looked at once every month, and this was the only time we saw that in 1 year. So if anybody else can chime in and has a different view on that, then I guess I'd like to know that, because I'm looking at this as an aberration as to what it is that we should be expecting, and that we shouldn't just close a blind eye, give them a $500 bribe, use of the license in lieu of closing down for a day or two. I mean, $500 doesn't seem like heck of a lot compared to a day's worth of business lost. So I guess that's sort of where I'm at in this.
You bring up a good point, Mr. Gito. My question to Attorney Perlman when the owner decided to purchase the machine and install it so it can scan the driver's license, what was their intent as a policy, as an internal policy? Was it that they were going to start looking at all driver's licenses, no matter what the age? Just everyone that walks through the door and that wants to purchase alcoholic beverages, or just sometimes do it? You tell me.
Sure. It's actually, I've had a couple of liquor stores myself, and it's something that we installed in one of our stores, and it would follow what the other gentleman on the board had said, that everyone that comes in has to show a license. I don't find that out of hand. That's in fact what we did. We had a sign on the door that everyone would. And if you get the system that I think my client's looking at, everybody would have to give a license. And like I say, it's not that you can't, on the system that he's trying to find right now, because I know my son had got it on one of ours, it doesn't allow you to push a button to just clear it. Most everyone has a system that'll come up and say, must be 21, or it's got something to block the screen and tell you you need a license. But it's also, most of them, you can just hit a clear button and it goes away. The one we're talking about is one that won't go away. You can't hit a clear button. You have to enter a license. And if there is no license, then you have to enter a birth date that you can, that you get from something. So like if they have a passport, you get it from their passport, whatever they have for their identification, but you have to get something and enter it in. And it's everyone. And when we first instituted it, some older people got very upset, but eventually they got over it. And it just became the policy at our store. Everyone had to give a license. And I know personally, I'm 81 years old. I went into a Wegmans and I tried to buy a bottle of alcohol, and they wanted my license. And the funny thing is, when I gave them my license, they didn't realize it had just been my birthday and my license expired. So I had a license, but it expired a few days before I went in there. They wouldn't sell it to me. And you know, I certainly look over 21, and they wouldn't sell. And that's just the way it is. You institute a policy, and that's your policy. And if you're having the problem at this store, that's why when I was talking to the client, you're having this kind of a problem, you've got to go, you got to do one or two things. And he's looking at both of them. One of them, like I say, the system, I think he can get that. And I don't think it's going to take him that long to get that. That should be soon. But the other is sell the store to someone who can run it and run the employees better than you're obviously doing. So one of the two you got to do. So he's looking at that. But yeah, the system that we're talking about, that I'm talking about to you, everyone would be ID'd, and that's just the way it is.
Thank you, Attorney Perlman. So, so Steve, what is our requirement if we went down that, if we wanted to make that recommendation for the license, contingent on that, what would be the scope or what would be the restriction?
So the most immediate question before the board is, what will the sort of base of the punishment be? You know, a suspension conceivably for some number of days. But as the regulations say, they're guidelines, so the board could go more, the board could go less. If the board were really under any circumstance, I think the board would be justified in requiring, so we've heard sort of two concepts. I think we've heard three concepts thrown out there. One, I don't think the board can require the licensee to sell or transfer the license. I've never come across that. Maybe they can. Maybe there's a case that I'm not aware of. I don't think that's what I'm hearing the appetite for. The other two concepts that have been floated are signage, saying that everybody gets carded. That's the store policy. And it sounds like the licensee would be in agreement with that. And quite frankly, it just sounds like a good common sense idea. And along similar lines, we have this third concept that's out there of this point of sale system addition that the licensee is reportedly exploring. And I think the board could, as a condition of the license, require that the licensee make an addition, purchase an addition to their point of sale system so that every customer in the store must show identification. No exceptions. I think that as a condition would be a lawful condition on the license, as with the signage that every patron will be carded. And I would be more than comfortable defending that if I had to.
Thank you very much, Steve, Attorney Steve. My second question is, if the board decides to go down, make the recommendation that this is the third violation and they have to suspend their license, does that mean the owner relinquishes the license, like brings that license to our office and they don't have it in their possession? Or does that just mean that they just turn off the lights in the building, in the liquor store, and say, well, okay, we're closed from day this 1 to day 5, or whatever the time? What does it really mean?
They do have to surrender the license to the board. The physical license does come back to the town for the period of suspension.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have, I see a question to the right, and that's Mr. McCrisky.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I'm ready to make a motion, if anybody's ready. We've been talking about this forever. I'm not going to sit here and discuss, as a licensing agency, how for a person to run their business. A violation's a violation. ABCC has had violations. We've talked about those already. So I would make
Mr. McCrisky, let's close the public hearing first.
Okay.
How about that? Okay. Motion to close the public hearing.
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Now, Mr. McCrisky, we will accept a motion.
Madam Vice Chair, I make a motion for a 3-day suspension of the license that it be forwarded back to the town for a period of 3 days that will be consecutive. I would believe we would go with a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Can I get a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay. And on the vote,
Any discussion of this?
yes, if you would like, Mr. Gito, discussion?
That's generally what happens.
Yes. We're discussing the motion now.
Now, what I understood was 3 times was 5 to 7 days? Is that what you said? But we had discretion. I mean, you could read that to me again, because...
So the policy says for a third offense,
Yes.
it would be a 7-day suspension. For a second offense, it would be a 5-day suspension.
So we're considering this a third 3-day suspension. Three times violations, which would be a 7-day suspension. But we have discretion. I think that's what we should do, either 6 or 7 days, and I think the weekends, I would do 2 weekends for that. And, the discussion about what they choose to put in as something to check on whether there's going to be a violation or not, that's their business decision to make. I would suggest to our department, police department, that they conduct more frequent look at this company for a year as well. I mean, I appreciate that we're doing more than we have before, but I mean, if you consider that we don't check very often, and these people have struck out on a whole number of times that we have checked, that doesn't give me a very warm feeling. I mean, we're here to make sure that young people don't purchase alcohol. The presumption is that they're not just going to go home, put it in their refrigerator. They probably are going to, in fact, drive somewhere and consume it. And every now and then, we read about people going off the road after having consumed a lot of alcohol. So, I mean, I'm sitting here listening to something I don't really want to be listening to, but here I am. And
Mr. Gito, you're bringing up some very valid points. So we have a motion on the table, and it has been seconded. Are you making a friendly amendment to the motion?
Well, I would be happy to do that if the person that made the initial motion would consider it a friendly amendment, but I can't.
Madam Chair, I wouldn't do that, and I will go one step further to explain my thought process, which I don't have to do, but I'm going to quickly, is we do have discretion, and we have one that was an administrative error, transferring alcohol between two entities. I mean, simple mistake, but it wasn't selling to a minor. And that's where I'm looking at saying, okay, I'm reasonable to that. I was ready to sit here a while ago and make a motion for a 7-day suspension from start to finish, 7 days solid, 1 week. But the one with the transfer of the alcohol, I think 3 days is sufficient. And if it were to happen again, I'd be looking for a revocation of a license next. So that was the thought process for my motion. So I won't take the amendment, and I would ask Madam Vice Chair if we could expedite this, because we are doing what we do a lot. I think there's been plenty of information exchanged, and we're beating this thing to death. So I would ask for please to move this and take a vote.
Okay. So the friendly amendment was denied. So we have a motion on the table. We have a seconded on the motion. Through vote, roll call vote. Let's do this. Mr. Gito.
I'm not going to vote for that.
So that was no. Chairman Cavey?
Yes.
Mr. Carrera?
Yes.
Mr. McCrisky?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you.
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes.
if I might just add that I'm of the same mind as Mr. McCrisky. I find this all very frustrating, and to see this many issues appear for us, especially with the sale of minors, and it seems to be a recurring pattern. My hope is that the business takes the steps they need to control this and to prevent further violations. A future violation is I also agree with Ms. McCrisky. At that point, the pattern struck, and I would have a hard time having faith this business would be able to function in the modern world selling alcohol, because we have plenty of businesses that can do this without any violations, and there's a whole lot of violations here. So, I should just say, I hope the business understands that we do take this seriously. Hope they put into place the controls that they need to prevent a future violation. And the next one, I also feel that depending on the circumstances, revoking the license altogether is not out of the picture.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Before we close this matter, regarding the dates, is the applicant going to identify the dates, or are we going to identify the dates? Who's going to set the dates? Oh,
I would admit, I mean, the vote's already been taken, but I guess I would ask the chair to take some guidance from council, our town council,
okay.
on when that would be. I would, as I said Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I think that we can do that. I would imagine council in a separate vote as to name the dates. And I would say that we could do that as of this coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I mean, it's,
Attorney Steve?
I don't think, do we have to take a vote on that? I don't think we do.
Well, there is a 5-day appeal period, so.
I'm sorry?
There's a 5-day appeal period.
Okay.
So this weekend would be, I
Okay.
think, would be unfair to the licensee.
Okay, so we'll go with a week from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That will give them the 5 days that's required. So a week from this Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Just for a clear record, that would be Friday, the 29th of August, Saturday, the 30th of August, and Sunday, the 31st of August.
Thank you.
So is the original motion is in order? Are the days in order? Do you need a separate motion for that?
There should be a separate motion.
I will accept a motion for those
Madam
specific
Chair, I
dates.
move the dates of the 29th, 30th, and 31st of August?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Okay. That closes the matter. And can you confirm that, Attorney Steve Kaplan?
That is confirmed.
Thank you very much. Move to the next agenda item, and I'll return the gavel to Chairman Cavey. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm not sure if you're sticking around with us or your business here is done. If it is, I want to thank you again for your time and your assistance.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to serve the board, and I will see you back on September 2nd. Happy Labor Day to everybody.
Be well. Thank you so much. So the next order of business is our consent agenda. We have 4 items. I really got to start bringing my glasses here nowadays. But item A, approval of open
Mr.
session
Chairman,
minutes,
if I may, sir?
meeting of, sorry?
May I, sir?
Yes.
May I suggest that we, unless there's unanimous consent on the consent agenda, that we put the 2 policy issues off to a future meeting? As you know, we have a very important issue to discuss and some very important decisions to make, and I believe we're going to lose Mr. McCrisky at 10 o'clock. If we don't get to executive session, that's going to change a lot of tactical moves we're making in this issue with SMAC.
Okay, fair enough. Is everyone comfortable with that? So we're going to take just agenda items, consent agenda items A and B, and we're going to table C and D to our next meeting, September 2nd.
Second.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve A and B made by Mr. Gito, seconded by Vice Chair Roberts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, it's unanimous. So the last item on our agenda is executive session. The executive session, subject to the chair's declaration, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation and/or threatened and imminent litigation pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, regarding SMAC, public hearing to consider breach of access agreement and election of remedy up to and including withdrawal of designation, termination of agreement. So we will be.
Motion to it.
Yes, so thank you. So yeah, I do make the determination that we're required to have this conversation in an executive session. Is there a motion to enter executive session?
Second.
Okay, so the motion was made by Mr. McCrisky, seconded by Vice Chair Roberts. By roll call, Mr. Gito? Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Carrera?
Yes.
Mr. McCrisky? Yes. I vote yes as well. Our meeting will adjourn from the executive session. We will not be returning to an open session, so the open session is now closed. Thank you very much. The time is 9:47. Have a wonderful evening.